So when we are talking of human resource management in the contemporary times, we are talking of how human resources can be given the right direction to increase the profitability and market share of organizations. Because as we all know, these aspects depend upon organizational performance, and organizational performance depends upon the performance of employees. Now, if we have to improve organizational performance, naturally we have to work upon improvement of the performance of the employees, which cannot happen without the right human resource management in the organization. If we do not work at shaping the right kind of culture, if we do not work at enhancing the employee engagement and building the organizational commitment of employees, in no case we will be able to have a competitive edge in the market. So we think of human resource management solely something which is solely related to employee issues. But let me make it clear, it is not in isolation that we should consider human resource management sticking only to the employee issues. It is affecting the performance of the entire organization. It is going to affect the profitability, the market share, the competitive edge of the company. And that is why it is so important to understand that, first of all, what is human resource management? And then slowly we will try to understand that how HR is now playing the role of a strategic business partner. So talking about human resources, when we talk of human resources, why actually do we call them resources? Now, why we call them resources is that human resources are sum total of the knowledge, skill, creative abilities, talents, together with the values, beliefs, aptitudes of the individuals who are working in the organization. It's a combination of all these various facets, and that is why we call them resources. So it is so important that human beings, employees working in the organization, they should be regarded as assets in the organization. When we talk of human resource management and we try to understand that what exactly is human resource management, let us make it very simple that all the policies, the practices, and the systems that influence employee behavior, attitudes, and performance, they come under human resource management. So that means whatever policies we frame related to the individuals, related to the people who are working for the organization, whatever practices we have, whatever systems we have, they are definitely going to influence the behavior of the employees working in the organization. They are definitely going to influence the attitudes and, very importantly, the performance of the people. And as I said earlier, that when we talk of performance, we are not merely talking of employee performance, we are talking of organizational performance in the broader context, because how will the organization perform if the employees are not performing up to the mark? Now, if we take the example of a company like Google, we know that Google is one of the most, valuable and having a lot of creditworthiness in the market. And it is the most desired organization where people would like to work. So what is the secret behind the success of Google, Apple? It is basically the main ideal or philosophy upon which they work is innovation through focused people. Naturally, these companies are successful today because of their innovative practices. So they have this philosophy that they want to innovate through focused people, and they are having a deliberate policy of hiring, retaining, and training innovative people. And that is why Google and Apple are what they are today. So naturally, we see that the policies, practices, and systems that influence employee behavior and attitude definitely have an impact upon the performance of the organization. Now, you see, these practices and systems, they need to be changed according to the times. And in the present world, we can see the changes. Like, we are all facing this pandemic COVID-19. So here, previously, we all know that there was nothing like work from home, or very few organizations that belong to the IT sector only, they were having this kind of policy of work from home. And that was also to a very little extent. But now the policy has changed. Why? Because of the kind of environment we are into, the kind of crisis we are facing, the HR policies of the companies, they have to change. Otherwise, they cannot function. So you can see here on your screen that this is based upon the Gallup panel report, which is a leading global analytics firm. Now, you can see that according to this particular survey, the employed US who are working remotely, always or sometimes. So in April 2020, 70% of the US adults, whether they were in full-time employment or part-time employment, they were working remotely. And this is coming down, no doubt, but still, till January 21, we can see 56% of the US employees, whether they are working full-time or part-time, they are working remotely. You see, here it was 70%, then in May it became 66%. And then for these 4 months, September to December, it was stable at 58%. And in January 21, it was still 56%. So that means more than half of the US working adults were employed full-time or part-time. They were working remotely. Now, this is not possible unless and until we are flexible with our HR policies. If we, in the present pandemic, had the companies been rigid and not allowed work from home, just imagine the organization could not function. So what we mean to say that we need to be flexible when we are framing our HR policies, so that we are able to adapt according to the demands of the time, according to the challenges. And you can see the health and safety policies of organizations have also become more, intensive after the pandemic. So the flexibility in the HR policies also needs to be there. Now, if we talk about India, and according to the Times Job Survey 2021, in which 1,375 HR managers were interviewed, and under this survey, the main aim was to find out that whether how many companies would allow work from home in 2021 in India. So 42% of the Indian firms, according to this survey, they said they would like to continue with work from home in 2021. And 50% of this, 40%, they said that even for the next year, they would like to continue with work from home, and 23% out of them said that they would like to continue with work from home policy for the next 5 years. So this, I'm talking about India. 40% of the firms, the HR managers representing, they said they would like to have a hybrid kind of structure in the present times. That means both the things, work from home plus alternate day office work. So alternate days, they would like to call the employees to the office, and at the same time, they would continue with work from home arrangements also. So 40% said a hybrid structure they would like to have in 2021. However, 18% said that they would like to revoke work from home totally in 2021 if the situation is better. So that means, see, different firms have their own HR policies, they have their own thinking, and according to that, they can frame their strategies. But you can see the difference. That means majority of the Indian firms, they would like to continue with work from home policies, which was not there. And it's a big change. And you can see even the hybrid structure would function very successfully And 40% of the Indian firms who were surveyed, they are ready for this kind of structure, and only 18% have said that they would like to revoke work from home. So you can see how the things are changing and how the mindset of the organizations and the HR people need to be adapted according to the challenges of the time. Now, coming back to the concept of human resource management, so it involves, as I said, all the management decisions and practices that directly affect the people who work for the organization. So when we talk of human resource management, naturally it relates to acquiring human resources, it relates to maintaining them, training them, assessing their performance, rewarding their performance. So all the decisions which affect the people who work for the organization, human resource management is concerned with all those aspects. Now, why, as I said, we need to talk so much about human resource management? We all know about the 5 M's of management. So, men, money, material, methods, and machines. So, men comes first. The other M's of management, they are abstract and they are dependent upon men for their proper utilization. And that is why human resources should be considered as assets for the organization. Because as I said that now human resource management is not restricted only to the traditional functions of recruitment, selection, and performance appraisal, but it goes far beyond to becoming a culture steward, a change management expert. That's what an HR manager is today. He is also a business ally. He's a credible activist. He's a talent manager. And that is why it is so important to have a proper understanding of human resource management and having the right kind of strategies in the organization. So, in fact, Akio Marito, who was the founder of Sony Corporation, he once said that there is no magic behind the success of Japanese companies, and particularly talking about Sony. The only secret of success, he said, of Japanese companies, and particularly Sony, is the way they treat their people. The way they treat their people, that is the secret of success of Japanese companies. All their the HR policies, whether they relate to recruitment, whether they relate to training and development, whether they relate to performance management, they are built upon the premise that human resources are the most valuable assets of the organization. And they work upon this premise. And that is why he has said that it is how you treat your people that will determine your success in the market. Now, when we talk about the functions of human resource management, so basically it can be divided into 2 categories. You can see the managerial functions and the operative functions. So when we talk about managerial functions, naturally, first of all, even when we talk about the functions of management, first comes planning. So in human resource management also, first you have to go for planning. That means you have to frame your human resource management policies. You have to lay down the rules and regulations in the organization, what kind of human resource practices you want to have. Together with that, you have to go for human resource planning, forecasting, and things like that. Once you are ready with your plans, then you can go for the proper execution and implementation of those policies. Then organizing, that means here, you have to lay down the kind of organization structure you want to have, the number of departments, the type of departments you want to have, the various job responsibilities at various levels in the hierarchy, the chain of command which you want to have in the organization, what is going to be the channel of communication, all those aspects are here, first of all, decided. Then you go for staffing. That means you go for recruitment and selection of the employees, where you need to be very, very careful because hiring the right people is the first and primary need for success of the organization. You know, it is easy to study about recruitment and selection. What is recruitment? What is selection? But practicing it religiously, having the right kind of people in the organization, having the right kind of selection process in the organization, having the right kind of induction process in the organization, that practically is a big challenge for HR people, because if you end up hiring the wrong people in the organization, then the consequences are going to be very much adverse. So that is why it is important that how you go in for your staffing function, and then you have to give them the right direction. That means you have to supervise them, motivate them, inspire them, give them the right kind of leadership and controlling, of course, whereby you try to check whether whatever human resource practices and policies you have framed, whether they are actually being implemented or not, whatever effort was made during the planning process, to what extent it has been able to achieve its objective, and whether the employee performance is up to the mark, whether whatever goals were set in the beginning of the year, whether they have been attained or is there any variation in that. So these are the basic functions of management which also relate to human resource management. Now, when we talk of operative functions, so here, basically you have to, first of all, acquire the human resources. And as I said, for that, you have to be very, very good with your human resource forecasting, human resource planning part. You need to have the right sources of recruitment. From where would you like to hire? You need to have the right kind of selection process. You need to have the right kind of this induction and orientation process in your organization. Then another operative function is development. That means how much you are able to upgrade the skills of your employees. Training has become a very, very important aspect of human resource management. And when we talk of training, we are not only talking of technical training, we are talking of behavioral training as well, which has become very important. We are talking about developing leadership skills in the employees. We are talking about developing the communication skills, decision-making ability in the employees. So the organizations, they have proper management development programs, and they also have training and programs for the organization, both off the job and on the job. At the same time, you have to think about the career planning of employees in the organization. Naturally, when an employee joins the organization, so he wants to know how his career is going to progress with the organization, where he will be after 5 years. So the career planning part also becomes very important. Then the compensation part. So that means the wage and salary administration in the organization, how you are going to determine what you are going to pay to your employees. And for that, you can do job evaluation. That means you have to find out the relative worth of the job in comparison to the other jobs in the organization. Of course, there are technical methods for that. And also you have to keep in mind the market rate if you want to hire the talented people, competent people. So your wage and salaries should be in accordance with the what your competitors are paying if you really want to have talented and skilled people in your organization, plus what kind of incentives, performance-based incentives you would like to give, and what kind of fringe benefits you would like to give. That means what are the monetary and non-monetary benefits other than the salary which you would like to add in for your employees, which may include conveyance facility, housing facilities, or even canteen facilities, or post-retirement benefits like provident fund, gratuity, and things like that. Then the maintenance function. That means what you are doing to maintain the employees in the organization, what kind of quality of work life they have. That means what are the working conditions. Health and safety, as I said, has become a very important concern in today's world, where everybody is facing the evil effects of COVID-19, and health and safety standard operating procedures, how far they are being followed. So the HR policies relating to health and safety, they need to be very, very carefully designed, so that in today's world, there has to be proper sanitization, proper social distancing, ensuring the masks are being worn in the organization, the workplace is sanitized regularly. So this is something additional to what HR has been doing. And then employee well-being is something very important, which the HR has to focus upon in today's world. Employee well-being, especially, not only the physical well-being, the emotional well-being of employees. That has become a big challenge, because COVID-19 is not only something which has affected the physical health, it has become a mental health pandemic. And people, the stress level and the worry level, depression, anxiety, that has increased. So it has become very imperative for the HR to maintain the emotional health of the employees in today's world. So here you can see, according to Gallup survey, fewer US workers, they feel that leadership cares for their well-being. Now, you can see that well-being, as I said, both physical and emotional is very, very important. So according to this survey conducted by Gallup in US, you can see at present, in March 2021, 35% of the employees, they strongly agree that organization cares about my overall well-being. You see that in August 2012, it was just 21%, but after the pandemic, the organizations and the HR have become more aware of it. So in April, it was as high as 45, and then you can see 48, it is coming down, but you can see not many employees feel, only 35% feel that their leaders actually care for their well-being. And I'm repeating that why we are talking about employee well-being, because it is going to impact their performance. If the employees, they do not feel physically and emotionally well or healthy, in that case, how are they going to perform? And if they do not perform, then the organizational performance is going to come down, the profitability will come down, the market share will come down. And that is why it is very important for today's world, the leaders, the HR people, they have to pay attention to the emotional and physical well-being of the employees, and motivating the employees through good work-life balance policies, through proper incentives, bonus incentives which are tied to their performance, which will not only improve the performance of the organization, but it will also motivate the employees. So it will be a win-win situation. The employee performance is going to be enhanced, and organizational performance is going to be enhanced. In turn, they will get rewards. So the organization and the human resources who are working, both will have a sense of accomplishment, and both are going to be benefited. And then the integration function, we have to think about aspects like grievance handling. That means grievances are the problems which the complaints which the people have when they're working in the organization, how you handle a grievance. Because organizations have grievance handling procedures, they have disciplinary procedures, they work upon industrial relations, they have collective bargaining systems in the organization. So all these systems, if they are properly maintained, they enhance the morale of the people in the organization. So these are the basic functions of human resource management. Now, talking about what is the role of the HR manager. Now, talking about the role of HR manager, we can see that he is working in various capacities, and he has a multi-dimensional role in the organization. The HR manager acts as an administration manager also, whereby he handles all the legal aspects, the public relations, and the even things like transportation, medical, canteen. He has to administer everything. He is also the HRD manager, which is very, very important. That means looking after the training and development part of the organization, and the employees, counseling the employees, appraising their performance. Appraising means what? Evaluating the performance of the employees. Appraisal does not mean appreciating. Appraisal means evaluating the performance of the employees, whether they are performing up to the mark or not. Whatever standards or targets were given to them at the beginning of the year, whether they are being accomplished or not. And when we talk of appraisal, we have performance appraisal also and potential appraisal also. That means potential appraisal means that which employee in the organization has the potential to be promoted to a higher level position in the organization. Then he has to act as a personnel manager also, whereby the traditional functions of human resource management have to be performed by the HR manager. That means human resource planning, recruitment and selection, job analysis and design, compensation, orientation and placement. He has to definitely look after that. Together with that, he has to act as an industrial relations manager so that there is no conflict between the management and the workers. So as I said, safety and health has become so important. And of course, it has been important over the years, but now it has become the need of the hour to be very much conscious about the health and safety and well-being of the employees, the welfare policies, the social security schemes for your people, the educational schemes, the loans, etc., what you can do for your employees depending upon the resources and the grievance handling part. That means whether you're having a proper grievance redressal system in your organization or not, that whether your employees know that in case they have any problem, in case they have any grievance, whom they are going to approach. So the IR part also has to be handled by the HR manager. Together with that, as I said, now HR is not in today's world confined to the traditional role. Today, the HR executives, they are expected to handle new roles also in form of course, the change manager, because change is only something which is permanent. And if we do not change according to the needs of the time, according to the changes in the external environment, then we are going to lag behind in the competition. But bringing about change in the organization is the most tough task for the HR manager, because it is the natural human tendency that people resist change. So the change management process, the knowledge of how to bring about change in the organization, having people skills for that, and technical knowledge of bring about change in the organization, that is what is expected from the HR manager. And it is so important that in HR, it's a separate paper also, leadership skills and change management. That means how do you bring about change in the organization is such a big challenge. And in today's world, the HR person or the HR executive or the HR manager, he is also a business strategist. He's become, the HR is expected to play the role of a strategic partner, which we are going to discuss more in the coming slides. Then he has to act as the auditor also. Auditor not in the financial terms, but in terms of whether the HR policies and practices which have been framed are being implemented in the true spirit or not. And if not, then where is the gap and how it can be corrected. Then he has to act as an IT manager, because in today's world, everything is done with the help of information technology. Organizations have proper human resource information systems in the organization. So the data has to be handled and it has to be used in the right way for taking the necessary decisions. He is, of course, a service provider, because he goes for the hiring of the employees. He goes for hiring through various sources depending upon the needs of the organization, which is the right source of recruitment. Then he also basically goes for, he should have knowledge of the market rates, about the pay in the competitive organization, so that on the basis of that, the decisions can be made in the organization. Besides that, he should have knowledge of labor law, the legislations, so that he can provide advice, so that the firm is not challenged legally in any case. So that has a very sensitive part which has to be handled by the HR manager. And of course, he will perform the traditional functions of compensation management, training and development. Of course, he acts as a facilitator, whereby he designs the training and development programs for the organization, for the employees, the career planning of the employees, the performance management systems in the organization. How will you appraise the performance of the employees? What techniques will you employ? What will you do if there is a gap in the actual performance and the standard or the targeted performance? So he acts as a facilitator also, and he acts as a consultant on issues like if there's a disciplinary issue in any department, if the employees are having any grievance, how to resolve them, if there is any conflict among the employees, and if any employee is subject to substance abuse or he's alcoholic, then going for the counseling part, coaching part, a number of things which the HR manager has to handle. If the employee is continuously not performing up to the mark, then also he has to act as a consultant and advise on what has to be done and how such kind of employee can be handled or how his performance can be improved. So these are very challenging roles for the HR executives in the contemporary times, which they have to play. Now, as we're talking about the HR manager, he has to be a business strategist also. So very important that the HR strategy should aim at strategic fit. Now, strategic fit. The HR strategy has to be aligned with the business strategy and the corporate strategy. Because if the HR strategy is not designed in accordance with the business strategy and the corporate strategy, in that case, the HR and the employees will not be able to contribute towards the attainment of the organizational goals. Because as I said earlier, organizational performance depends upon employee performance. And if the employee policies, the people policies in the organization are not framed keeping in mind the corporate strategy and the business strategy, then how will the aim of attaining high organizational performance be attained? So that means the HR strategy has to be in alignment with the business strategy and the corporate strategy. And at the same time, the HR system, the performance management system, the training, the rewards, everything has to be interlinked. Now, the performance management system in the organization, if the employee is not able to perform according to the goals which were set for him at the beginning of the year, if there's a gap, then what you're going to do? See, either you will go for training or you will go for demoting the employee, which is a very harsh action which no organization should take at the first instance. So first you talk about improvement of the employee, so you will try to find out the gaps in the performance and go for training of the employees in those particular areas where he actually requires training. And if he's performing up to the mark, you can go for promotion, you can go for rewards. But for that, you need to first assess the performance of the employees. So you see, the HR strategy has to attain the vertical fit, and it has to also aim at the horizontal fit. You see, we were talking about the strategic HR and how we can see that the strategic decisions which are taken in the organizations, we're talking about corporate strategy, we're talking about business strategy, they have their implications for the HR management. Whatever decisions are taken at the corporate level, whatever strategic decisions are taken, naturally the HR has to align its decisions according to those strategic decisions. For example, if the organization wants to add new types of equipment, in that case, what is the implication for HR management? It has to train its employees to use that equipment. Otherwise, that equipment, just adding or purchasing that equipment, is of no use unless and until the training of the employees to use that equipment is made. You want to beat your competitors, you want to use the latest kind of technology, but are your employees trained to use that particular technology? So just adding in new technology in the organization is not going to help. You have to groom your people, you have to skill your people to use that kind of equipment. So reskilling, upskilling, that is going to be impacted. So if for an organization wants to go for acquisition, it wants to grow through acquisition, then the implications for HR management would be what? Like selection from the acquired firm. Together with that, the training of the employees, the compensation part, the wages and salaries, that is also going to be affected, because now you've acquired another firm and now you have to redesign your compensation structure. On the other hand, there may be some workers who become redundant, who are no longer required in the organization, because you are having your own employees. Together with that, you are having the employees of the acquired firm. Maybe you don't require so many employees. So what you will do? The workers become redundant. So you have to think about their outplacement. What can you do to make them get jobs in other organizations? So you want to totally fire them off without any, kind of handshake, or without any kind of empathetic policy. So if you go, if the organization decides to go for acquisition, then also the HR management or the human resource management has to be accordingly face the implications and be ready for it. Now, for example, if a firm takes a decision to market the products internationally, so in that case also, the selection part, you have to hire such people who are going to market the products internationally. You need competent people. If you do not want to hire, you have to train your already existing employees. And if you are going for international, if you're going international, then the compensation structure will have to be redesigned. So that means here also the human resource management policies will be framed and changed accordingly. Now if you want to seek a new location for your manufacturing plant, means you want to have another location for your manufacturing plant, in that case you will have to transfer your employees to that plant, some of your employees. That is again an HR issue. Or if you do not want to transfer, you will have to recruit employees from that new location. You have to go for a proper selection, training of employees. Then if you want to take the strategic decision of following a low cost competitive strategy, then again the HR is impacted, the compensation part, the labor relations, give backs. Maybe you have to request your employees to surrender some of their benefits, because you are going for low cost competitive strategy, and in return for the give backs, what you're going to give them, or you have to go for training of the employees. So what we mean to say, that corporate strategy and HR strategy, they need to be aligned. Otherwise, just changing the corporate strategy and going in for an ambitious corporate strategy without aligning the HR strategy in accordance with your corporate strategy is not going to result into any success. If you are ambitious with your corporate strategy, if you want to bring about some change in the organization, you want to attain a competitive edge in the market, you have to keep in mind that unless and until you align your HR strategies in accordance with your corporate strategies, the corporate strategies can never be attained, and it is going to result into disaster for the organization. Now, if we have a look at the Dave Ulrich model of HR roles, what are the various HR roles? According to Dave Ulrich, as I said, the strategic partner role, you can see, is played in today's world by the HR people. The change agent role, which we've already discussed, then the administrative expert he has to act as, and the employee champion. And as I said, in today's world, the HR is expected to be a strategic partner, and the HR people are expected to have complete knowledge of the business, together with marketing, finance, strategy, and all the various aspects of business and the market. And then only they will be able to contribute as the strategic partner in the organization. So if we have a look at HR as a strategic partner, then you can see that how the HR strategic architecture is going to move. You see, first of all, the HR professionals with strategic competencies have to be there in the organization. The HR professionals should have strategic competencies. Then only HR can act as a strategic partner. So that kind of knowledge, those kind of competencies, those kind of skills have to be there. Then the high performance systems have to be established in the organization. And as I said, they should be aligned with the corporate strategy, and the behavior of the employees needs to be strategically focused. Then only the HR can act as a strategic partner. So the HR strategic architecture, it comprises of all the three aspects, whether we talk about the function, whether we talk about the system, or whether we talk about the employee behavior. So that is equally important, and all have to be strategically focused. Now here you can see further the HR strategy map. The HR strategy map, you can see how you can actually build up your HR on the basis of a balanced scorecard. So balanced scorecard is a concept whereby the organizational performance is measured on the basis of these four parameters: the financial performance, the customer perspective, the internal processes of the organization, and the learning in the organization. Now, this balanced scorecard we have used for the HR strategy map. Now, when we are laying down the HR strategy, these are the four aspects which we can consider. The financial part, that means how the HR strategy is going to drive the long-term shareholder value, how it will enhance the ROI on HR strategic initiatives, and how it is going to enhance the employee productivity. That means the HR people, they need to be very clear about the financial implications of their HR strategies and aim at enhancing the ROI on HR strategic initiatives, enhancing the employee productivity, and driving the long-term shareholder value. Then here we talk of internal customers. That means the employees of the organization. The aim should be to create a positive work environment. As I said, employee engagement and organizational commitment is very, very essential if the organization really wants to enhance its profitability. So focusing on the internal customers and enhancing employee satisfaction, that should be another aim. And also a measure whereby the HR strategy's success or failure can be measured or tested. Then the HR internal processes, they have to be focused upon. The recruitment process has to be proper, the cost benefit analysis, the quality of the human resources hired, whether they are in accordance with the needs of the organization, and developing the strategic competencies of the employees, having the best talent management practices in the organization, and having the right kind of performance management system in the organization. That is very important as far as the HR internal processes are concerned. Then the learning part, that is very important, that how you develop the capabilities of HR. That is why, you know, it is said that in today's world, only those organizations will be successful which are learning organizations, who continuously update their knowledge, who continuously transform themselves according to the latest changes in the environment, in the technology, in accordance with the skills required. So the learning part has become very important, and how the human resource information system can be properly deployed for this purpose. So this gives you the various four aspects which can be focused upon when you build your HR strategy. You have to focus upon the financial part, you have to focus upon the employee satisfaction, that is the internal customer part, how you can improve your HR internal processes, and how you can enhance your learning capabilities in the organization. The HR scorecard, it gives you a measure of whether you have been able to attain the strategic objectives of the company or not. So you have to implement the, for example, your strategic objective is implement the best talent management practices. So you have to lay down the KPIs for that. The KPIs in terms of talent management practices may be number of qualified talents per strategic positions, how many qualified talents you have been able to hire, then what is your talent development plan, and the percentage of senior managers who have been promoted internally. So if you're having best talent management practices, you should have upskilled and your senior managers, and they should have the potential to be promoted internally. Then if you have your strategic objective as optimizing performance management system, then the KPIs, the key performance indicators would be like, what are the competency assessment scores? Is there any improvement in the competency level of the employees? And what are the number of performance feedback sessions conducted per year? So that can indicate. That means how do you measure whether your strategic objectives are being attained or not? Now, if we talk about maybe creating positive work environment, in that case, whether the company has acquired the fame of being a best place to work in the annual survey, which is conducted by the Fortune magazine. What is the percentage of employee turnover? That means the extent to which the employees leave your organization. If the turnover rate in your company is very high, that means somewhere or the other, you need to work upon this and create a positive work environment. Think about retaining your employees. And if you want to enhance internal customer satisfaction, then the employee satisfaction index surveys can be conducted, and whereby you try to find out what are the areas in which the employees are highly satisfied and what are the areas in which the employees, they need to be groomed further. So here in today's session, we have seen that how the role of human resource management has become very challenging. It is no longer restricted to the traditional functions, but the HR has to play a major role in enhancing corporate success, in creating the right kind of organizational environment, together with that, increasing the profitability and market share, for the purpose of which the HR has to act as a business partner also. You can work upon the HR scorecard. You should have the strategic objectives in mind, how you can design your KPIs in terms of strategic objectives on the organization, how you can have those four aspects: the financial, the internal customer part, the learning part, the internal processes part, in order to design the right kind of HR strategy map.